Back to the Truth Factory. At midnight, YouTube removed my Charlottesville video due to a lack of context surrounding the graphic violence in my video. Basically, I didn't put the words graphic violence in my title. So I lost all of my views and my comments for that video, which makes me a pretty mad kitty. Although I kind of wonder if they really removed it because I was hinting that the Charlottesville crash was a false flag. Well, if YouTube didn't like my last video, they really aren't going to like this one because I have developed some theories on the situation. And as a warning, I will be showing images of graphic violence. Theory number 1, what the mainstream media wants everyone to believe. A disgruntled white supremacist got pissed off and drove their car into a group of left-wing protesters as a premeditated act of violence. At this point, it's still a theory, not a fact, and it is very possible. I mean, it's the simplest explanation, but it doesn't explain everything. And if this comes out to be proven to be the case, obviously that type of violence or hate on either side should not be tolerated. Theory number 2, it's possible that he got scared because people were hitting his car. There are cracks and marks on his car that could be evidence that damage was done before the incident. And also, here you can see someone is hitting his car and he brakes. Those are his brake lights there before slamming on the gas. So that could show that he was startled or scared by having his car being hit and he drives off. Kind of like how a horse runs after being whipped. Or perhaps that hit was some sort of signal to start driving if this is a false flag. Theory number 3, this was a viral marketing ad for Dodge Chargers, and they did start a drag racing event called Roadkill Night on the same day as the rally, but I'm just going to hope and assume that that is just an unfortunate coincidence. Theory number 4, this whole thing is a false flag setup. We all know that George Soros has paid Antifa in the past and has paid Black Lives Matters in the past, and this event happened on George Soros' birthday. Happy birthday to this evil piece of garbage. And I don't mean to say that nobody died or was injured. It does look like people were hurt, and I'm in no way trying to diminish the tragedy that took place. I'm just saying there's something weird about it, and we should discuss it. And here's my research to back up the false flag theory. James Alex Jr. was seen here in a white shirt and khakis. That is the uniform of Vanguard America, a white nationalist group in which he is seen standing with. And the VA was handing out those shields that he's holding there for free to anyone who wanted one. Their uniform would be easier to fake than a Best Buy employee. And we already know that Antifa were posing as Nazis, so it would be child's play to pose as a member of Vanguard America, which James Alex Jr. was not a member of. The VA has said on their official Twitter that his name did not appear on any of their member registries. But here he is in his khakis and tinted glasses. Remember that for later. Now, military records do show that James had a brief stint in the U.S. Army, joining August 2015 and leaving the Army December of that year, just weeks after basic training would have ended. An Army spokesperson said that he was released from active duty due to failure to meet training standards. But I can't find anywhere that he was unable to complete boot camp. I mean, there is a long history of various intelligence and law enforcement agencies recruiting directly from the ranks of military and then sending those young recruits off to join various white supremacist movements and/or militias. I'm not saying that's what happened to this guy, I'm just saying that that's been done before. It also might explain this black SUV and this white van that were parked down the street that leave as soon as the hit happens. Now here's the picture that was taken of the guy who drove into the protesters. It could very well be James. But it's not perfect. And also, James was wearing glasses that day, as he has worn in almost all of his other pictures. Obviously, he is sight impaired and was not wearing contacts that day. It does make sense that he wouldn't have his glasses on for the mugshot, as you would take them off for a passport or ID photo if they were tinted or had a glare, and we know that his glasses were tinted. What I'm saying is that it is weird that James would wear his glasses all day and then take them off while driving. There is a theory that the driver in the car is actually James G. Field, not James A. Field. James G. Field is the captain and commander of an Ohio Army National Guard battalion and has seen combat in Afghanistan. It would be easy to have two men in the military, both with the same name from Ohio, swap identities. Also, under analysis of the picture, the face build does seem to fit a little bit better with James G. Field, but both James Fields have similar facial features. Both have hooded, slightly downturned eyes, short eyebrows, a short nose, and downturned lips, so it really could be either of them. But to be realistic, it is very likely that James A. Fields was driving this car, and at this point the James doppelganger theory is a bit of a stretch. You would have to have so much information to prove that this guy, this random person with the same name, has anything to do with this situation. The only thing is this guy just looks a lot more like the driver than the person that they arrested. I was also talking to someone who analyzes footage for a living, and they said that the picture of the guy in the car looks pretty calm. There's no shocked expression on his face. He doesn't look scared or scattered. It looks like he's just doing a job, like maybe a professional stunt driver or someone without fear. He also looks like he drove like a professional stunt driver or has done this before. The way he drove backwards that fast, I don't know if I could make an exit like that. I mean, probably if you work for the CIA and you were going to participate in a false flag event, you would practice your driving skills. But here's where it actually gets pretty interesting. There's a man named Brennan Gilmore there, who just happens to be in the right place at the right time to film the Charlottesville hit and run, and then speaks to the media like CNN. Well, it turns out this anti-racist Brennan Gilmore was a previous CIA operative under the State Department cover running special ops to suppress Native uprisings in Central Africa, aka Coney 2012. He's also the chief of staff for Tom Pilarello, who ran for governor of Virginia, and he also received $250,000 from George Soros during that race. But I mean, I guess it's totally normal for a CIA operative who overthrew African regimes and also is linked to George Soros's money just to coincidentally be at a potential social uprising.
But it was clearly perpetrated by one of these racist Nazis who came to Charlottesville to spread their vile ideology, and he targeted this crowd very clearly. There's no question of anyone who witnessed it that his intent was to cause a mass casualty incident, and it's a domestic terrorist incident as far as what I witnessed.
Stop asking questions and just focus on the neckbeard that was driving the Dodge. Hashtag roadkill nights. Also, the crisis actors here are lying.
And it backed up and it hit everyone again. There was a girl that was on the ground. It was intentional. They backed up and they hit again.
That's a damn shame. But they didn't have a plate.
They didn't have a license plate. Okay. It was an intentional terrorist attack. He said they
All the videos show that the car did not back up and ram them again. So let's go take a closer look at the car. In this one, the crash car has painted stripes on it. James Alex Field's car did not have painted stripes on it, at least in this picture. I mean, it's possible that he could have had a paint job, but I don't think he had a paint job between this picture and this one. So this tells me that they most likely did 2 runs to get the right footage. They were using 2 different cars, one in a practice one and one in the real thing. That way they could take the damaged car from the practice run and have it already waiting in a specific location to be apprehended by the police. The old switcheroo. And all of this was probably caught by the surveillance helicopter, and that's why they had to die. But if that's not weird, both of the pilots were also friends with the governor. And also none of the airbags went off. These pictures just don't add up. Take a look at the signs. Now, as the car moves closer, suddenly these signs appear. So why would there be more signs up now with the car coming towards you? Why would Antifa move toward a car instead of away from it? Again, it's almost like these pictures were taken on 2 separate occasions, like a practice run, so everyone knew their part to play. Also, there are a lot of random shoes in this picture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This guy with the red shoe is hit by a car pretty hard, falls down, his shoe flies off, and about 3 seconds later he's sitting on top of this truck. So either he's Batman or this was taken in 2 takes. Breaking news has just come forward while I was making this video. James A. Fields has been diagnosed with schizophrenia and is on antipsychotic drugs. So can we really say that this man drove his car into those people because of radicalized Nazi ideals? Or is it because he has a severe mental illness and was put into a fairly stressful situation? It's definitely a twist to the story. It still doesn't excuse all the other strange things that were happening. So it's just another piece of this weird puzzle to add into the mix. Something is really weird here. Tell me what theory you think fits best. Also, I want to thank all my subscribers as I hit 20,000 subscribers yesterday. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the people supporting me on Patreon. A link to that and my Twitter in the description. Have a great night, guys.